So, how um uh, how fast or at this point, when you're working as a programmer, are you able to provide the KGB with valuable information, or how long did that take?
Where I have to disabuse you of the notion that I uh, provided a lot of super valuable information. And I hate that question because I have to give you an answer with an explanation. Um, Let me tell you, the one thing that I was able to provide them, which I didn't think was that valuable, but apparently it was,
Hmm.
periodic report how the average Americans the, reacted to world events. You're too young to have been aware, and most likely even alive, when the Soviet Union shot down a civilian South Korean airliner.
Hmm.
Something like that. What did Americans think about it? What's American public opinion? Because even though they had a lot of diplomats in New York and in Washington D.C., they couldn't they really couldn't get an honest opinion out of Americans. Maybe, but it was always, I was mingling with real Americans, right? So that was somewhat valuable. And at one point, I also they asked me to steal some technology that they couldn't get, that was not for sale to
Hmm.
communist countries. Hardware, software. I I copied some software. Doubt that this was very valuable. It was software that helps people even today manage companies in a capitalist system that that would probably not have been useful for a communist system, which is like highly hierarchical. So they never told me, and here comes the surprise. They never
Hmm.
told me what value my presence had for them. My presence in the United States had for them. And again, I'm referring back to the interviews. And there's one interview, the ex head of the Directorate S in the KGB, Directorate S was illegals.
Hmm.
And he said very clearly the value that these illegals in the U.S. had for us was insurance policy. Now I got to explain something else.
Hmm.
In those days, the most successful and most valuable agents for the KGB in the United States were Americans. Two Americans. They were moles, one in the CIA and the other one in the FBI. And they handed the KGB extremely valuable intelligence. Some of that actually resulted in the killing of Russians who cooperated with the CIA.
Wow.
Okay, their names were
Hmm.
Aldrich Ames and Robert Hansen. Uh, they they're both still in jail. They eventually were caught, but it took a while.
Hmm.
So this is the end of the Cold War. There's an espionage war going on. And most spies, the CIA spies were in Moscow, were all diplomats under diplomatic cover. And most KGB, the CIA didn't have any illegals. Uh, Nobody cared to want to go and live in the Soviet Union voluntarily. The United States was a little more attractive.
Hmm.
And, and most of the, uh, all but the illegals of the KGB agents were diplomats. And so what happened during the end of the Cold War, when a diplomat was caught in espionage activities, they were kicked out of the country. And then, let's say the CIA is kicking somebody out, the FBI is kicking somebody out, then the KGB just retaliates, and it went back and forth. Sometimes it was two or three people that were kicked out at the same time, and the head of the KGB was really worried that diplomatic relations would be broken up altogether, and then who was left in the country to collect the information that came out of Ames and Hansen, and that was us.
Hmm.
Okay, they never told me that. I was never prepared. What if? Nobody talked about it. Uh, there there are some rumors, and I don't know, I have no evidence that these rumors are correct, but that the Russians actually buried weapons and explosives all across the United States at one point,
Wow.
and the thought being that if if the Cold War gets hot, that us illegals were supposed to turn into saboteurs. I never got any kind of training in that respect. I never touched even a weapon. So they were very good at keeping secrets, even secrets to me,
Hmm.
who uh, who needed to have some background information to make decisions on his own and not ask the boss whether this is the right thing to do. And interestingly enough, they and I found out again. I read a lot of biographies of ex KGB folks,
Hmm.
if they are available, or ex high level Soviet uh, government officials. And out of the KGB biographies, I found out that the KGB was this super secret. They didn't trust anybody. Okay, so everybody just got enough information to barely function, including the diplomats. Now, the irony here is that they had to trust me because they couldn't check on me. If they check on me, then they're most likely being followed, and then I'm busted.
Yeah.
So they had to trust that I told them that I would tell them the truth and nothing but the truth. And I didn't tell them that I graduated first in class in a U.S. college. That would have been a, a no-no, because you don't want to stand out of a crowd, right? And I didn't tell them that I got married and I had a child in the United States. Okay, so but they had to trust me. So that was
Yeah.
the irony of all of this.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break and we're going to
Okay.
continue this interesting conversation. We're back, and we were just talking about how you were going to school, you became a valedictorian. I don't know if we did mention that, but you did mention that you graduated at the top of your class.
I did. All A's.
And you were living in the US as a KGB spy. And then you were chosen to speak at the Madison Square Garden
That's right. At the Feld Forum, the graduation speech, it was filled up. There were 4,000 people, I believe.
as you were working undercover.
Yeah, that was not a good idea for me to stand up in front of that many people. Being about 10 years older than the average graduate, speaking with a bit of an accent, and being tall. So I made myself very vulnerable. I got lucky. Nobody approached me. I wasn't even featured in the school newspaper.
Really?
Okay, I don't know. There was like, I got away with it because normally you would expect, some journalist trying figuring out, this guy, man, how did he do it? He's older. How did he manage? And it would have made a very interesting interview for somebody.
Hmm.
Never happened. And
Wow.
some of the college teachers knew that I raced through the program in 3 years. In 3 years, and I aced the program. Uh, that should have triggered some questions. It didn't.
Hmm.
I got lucky. It was really dumb what I did.